She managed hundreds of millions of dollars while her own daughter starved. For 4 years, this North Korean diplomat transferred Kim Jong-un's illegal fortune from a cramped Havana office, watching her 6-year-old child collapse from malnutrition back in Pyongyang. In a world where 25 million people live under 247 surveillance, she chose freedom over family. This is the story of a mother who became a whistleblower. If these stories matter to you, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. Your support helps us bring these untold stories to light. Together, we can be a voice for those who cannot speak. My story begins in spring 2021, in Pyongyang. I was 30 years old. My family had lived in Pyongyang's Yung district for 3 generations. We were elite. My grandfather earned his Pyongyang residency permit for his service in the Korean War. My father worked as a cadre in the city's propaganda department. I graduated from Kim Il-sung University with a degree in economics. I worked for a trading company under the Central Party. At 26, I got married. In 2018, I had my daughter, Sujin. April 2021, the notice came from higher-ups. Comrade, you've been assigned to the accounting office at our Cuban embassy. An overseas posting was the highest privilege, but it meant leaving my 3-year-old daughter behind. In North Korea, diplomats' families stay in Pyongyang. Hostages, to prevent escape. An overseas assignment at 30, what an honor for our family. My father beamed with pride. But my mother's eyes welled up. She couldn't bear to part with her granddaughter. The night before departure, I watched my sleeping daughter. The 3-year-old had no idea her mother was leaving. Mommy will be back soon. Just stay healthy, my love. Tears ran down my face. Back then, I thought I'd be home in 2 or 3 years. I flew out from Pyongyang's Sunan Airport through Beijing and Mexico City to Havana, Cuba. It was midnight when I arrived. Warm air hit my face. The view outside stunned me. Colorful buildings, classic cars, bright streetlights. In Pyongyang, lights went out at night. But Havana glowed even after dark. Music drifted from the streets. People walked around late into the night. The embassy staff housing was a rundown apartment in downtown Havana. The North Korean embassy was small and shabby. Fewer than 20 staff members worked there. On my first day, the accounting chief introduced me. This comrade is our new accountant from Pyongyang. One person stared at me with sharp eyes. Kim Chol-soo, the State Security Department chief. Comrade Park Eun-hye, this is foreign soil. Even abroad, you must never forget your loyalty to the supreme leader and the party. You must remain vigilant against the corrupt culture of the capitalist world. His voice was cold and firm. A chill ran down my spine. In North Korea, state security monitors and controls everyone. I knew instantly he'd be watching my every move. The first week was routine accounting work. Embassy operating expenses, staff salaries, various costs. But after about a week, the accounting chief quietly called me in. It was a Friday evening. Everyone else had left. Comrade Eun-hye, you'll be taking on special duties. This work must never be disclosed outside. The moment I opened the envelope he handed me, I understood why I was really here. Switzerland, Singapore, Cayman Islands, Luxembourg, bank account information from around the world. And the balances millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars per account. This is the Supreme Leader's special fund. Our embassy manages it. You'll be taking over these accounts. Right then, I knew. I'd stepped into something very wrong. About a year after arriving in Cuba, summer 2022, the accounting chief gave me a new order. Transfer $3 million from the Swiss account to Singapore. $3 million. Billions of won in our currency. That night, I couldn't sleep. This money could feed tens of thousands of North Korean people. I thought of people at the markets, struggling to buy a single measure of rice. While searching international news sites for work, I stumbled on an article about South Korea. Republic of Korea, world's 10th largest economy. The country we called the South Korean puppet regime was a top 10 global economic power. Seoul's dazzling night views, modern buildings, nothing like what I'd been taught. Maybe what we learned wasn't true. That doubt planted itself in my mind like a small seed. Carla, a local Cuban staff member, asked me, "Can people in your country travel freely?" I couldn't answer. In North Korea, even Pyongyang residents needed permits to visit other cities. Carla looked at me with pity. I hated that look. But at the same time, something inside me crumbled. That fall, I got a call from Pyongyang. My husband's voice sounded dark. Rations have been cut even more. We only get 3 kilograms of rice a month now. Sujin's kindergarten meals keep getting cancelled. Market rice is expensive. My heart tore apart. My daughter wasn't eating properly, yet here I was managing millions of dollars. I secretly sent money through a Chinese broker. But someone was watching me. Kim Chol-soo, the state security chief. Early 2023, Kim Chol-soo called me in quietly. Comrade Park Eun-hye, you've been using the internet quite frequently. You've been reading a lot about South Korea, too. My heart dropped. He'd been monitoring my internet history. Comrade, don't try to deceive me. I see everything. Overseas exposure makes people susceptible to capitalist ideology. You have family back in Pyongyang, don't you? I knew exactly what that meant. A threat. That summer, I got a call from Pyongyang. My 5-year-old daughter spoke directly. Mommy, when are you coming home? Other kids live with their moms. Why don't I have a mommy? Her words shattered my heart. Mommy, I'm hungry. There's no food at kindergarten. Hearing that, I wanted to collapse right there, phone in hand. That winter, Kim Chol-soo summoned me again. Pyongyang contacted us. Your mother was at the market, bragging that her daughter sent dollars from overseas to buy rice. That's a regulation violation. I'll have to report this to Pyongyang. I knelt before him. Please, forgive me just this once. One condition. From now on, you report everything to me. From that day forward, I lived under Kim Chol-soo's complete surveillance. Early 2024, one day, my mother's trembling voice came through the phone. Sujin, she's in the hospital. Malnutrition, they said. A 6-year-old child hospitalized for malnutrition. There's no medicine. We need to buy it at the market. About $200. $200. I managed accounts holding hundreds of millions. Yet I couldn't scrape together $200 to save my daughter. I can't live like this anymore. I agonized for days. Then one thought struck me. What if I take evidence with me? Evidence of Kim Jong-un's slush funds. If I expose it to the world, maybe the international community will apply pressure. I got a USB drive. One Friday evening, I stayed late claiming overtime. Alone in the office, I copied all the account information. My heart pounded like it would burst. I remembered Pastor Kim Yo-han from the church. One Saturday in May 2025, I went to the Korean church. Pastor, please help me. Get me to South Korea. I told him everything. The slush fund management. Kim Chol-soo's surveillance. My daughter in Pyongyang. The USB evidence. If you have evidence, the U.S. government can help. I'll connect you with the CIA. We'll need a month or 2 to prepare. That day, I left with hope. August 15, 2025, Friday. The day finally came. I'm going shopping, I told the guard as I left. My heart raced wildly. I caught a taxi to the Korean church. Pastor Kim and a CIA agent were waiting. When I handed over the USB, shock crossed the agent's face. This is incredible intel. So many personal accounts for Kim Jong-un. We'll protect you. The 30-minute drive to the U.S. Embassy felt like 30 hours. My phone rang. The embassy number. Don't answer. They're already suspicious. The moment we passed through the U.S. Embassy gates, tears poured out. Sujin, Mommy will survive and come back for you. 3 days later, I flew to Washington on a special aircraft. I spent a month at a CIA protection facility undergoing investigation. The accounts I managed alone total over $300 million. If you add all the accounts managed by North Korean embassies worldwide, it's probably tens of billions. I'd gained freedom but lost my family. Every day brought only tears. Still, I chose to go to South Korea. I want to start a new life in a land where people share my heritage. September 21, 2025, I arrived at Incheon International Airport. Looking out the plane window at Seoul's lights, they shone far brighter than Pyongyang's. When I stepped onto Korean soil, tears flooded out. This is our land. Through the car window, Incheon's landscape passed by. Tall apartment buildings, wide highways, so different from what I'd learned in North Korea. Now it's March 2026, 6 months since I came to South Korea. The first time I walked into a 24-hour convenience store, I cried at the sight of the shelves. At the supermarket, seeing food overflow everywhere, I wept. Now I work at an organization supporting North Korean defectors. Sometimes human rights groups ask me to speak. I cover my face and share my story. I miss the family I left in the north. Soojin is 7 years old now. According to news from the National Intelligence Service, she hasn't been sent to a political prison camp yet. The information I provided caused such massive waves that North Korean authorities can't handle her carelessly. I dream of the day reunification comes, when I can return to my homeland and see my daughter. Life in the Republic of Korea is free but lonely. Still, I'm grateful just to experience this freedom. Freedom I gained at 33, having lost everything. Today, I walk the streets of Seoul. Breathing free air, I don't regret the path I chose. Someday Soojin will experience this freedom too. Until then, I'll fulfill my role here. August 15, 2025, Friday. That day arrived. It was the embassy's regular day off. 10 in the morning, I dressed as usual and packed my bag. The USB stayed hidden in my underwear. My passport went deep into my bag. Looking in the mirror, my face was pale. I took a deep breath and opened the door. I spoke to the embassy guard. Going shopping. He nodded. He knew I sometimes went shopping on weekends. When I stepped onto the street, my heart pounded wildly. Was someone following me? I kept looking back, but no one seemed to be there. I hailed a taxi. Old Havana, please. The driver said nothing and started driving. Through the window, Havana's morning scenery passed by. Peaceful views, but my mind was anything but peaceful. I arrived in Old Havana and walked to the Korean church we'd arranged. Pastor Kim Yo-han opened the door. Come in quickly. Inside the church stood another man, a Westerner. This is a U.S. Embassy official. CIA agent. The man extended his hand. We don't have much time. Let's move quickly. Do you have the evidence? With trembling hands, I pulled out the USB. The agent plugged it into his laptop and checked the files. Minutes later, shock spread across his face. This is extraordinary intel. So many personal accounts for Kim Jong-un. Account numbers, transaction records, everything's here. I managed these accounts for 4 years. The total exceeds hundreds of millions of dollars. This information is more than enough. We'll protect you. Let's go to the U.S. Embassy right now. Pastor Kim squeezed my hand. Be brave. God will be with you. I had no religion, but in that moment, I prayed to a higher power. Please protect my daughter in Pyongyang. Outside, a black sedan waited. I climbed into the back seat. The CIA agent sat beside me. The driver pulled out immediately. The U.S. Embassy was a 30-minute drive. But those 30 minutes felt like 30 hours. I kept looking back. Were North Korean embassy people chasing us? Then my phone rang. The screen showed the embassy number. My heart nearly stopped. Don't answer. They're already suspicious. The phone kept ringing. Once, twice, 3 times. Finally, the U.S. Embassy appeared. High walls, iron gates, and the American flag waving. The car entered through the main gate. After security checked us, they opened the gate. We've arrived. You're safe now. Hearing those words, all the tension I'd been holding released. Tears poured out. Soojin, Mommy will survive and come back for you. I spent 3 days at the U.S. Embassy in Cuba. During those 3 days, I stayed in a small room. For safety. The North Korean embassy must have been in chaos searching for me. But inside the U.S. Embassy was extraterritorial ground, a place North Korea couldn't touch. On the 3rd night, the CIA agent called me. We're moving you to the U.S. now. A special aircraft is ready. In the middle of the night, I rode in an embassy car to a special section of Havana Airport. A small jet waited. Ms. Park, sit comfortably. It's about 4 hours to Washington. The plane took off. Through the window, Cuba's lights grew distant. I'd spent 4 years in this place. During the flight, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was my daughter in Pyongyang. Soojin, what are you doing right now? Tears flowed again. We arrived in Washington, D.C. At dawn. Several agents waited at the airport. I was driven somewhere else again. This is a CIA protection facility. You'll stay here for a while. The room was small but clean. A bed, desk, and bathroom. The investigation began that day. Every morning and afternoon, CIA agents came to question me. About the USB data I brought. About the slush fund accounts. About the internal situation at the North Korean embassy. They asked about everything. Whose name is on this account? Most are borrowed name accounts. Registered under North Korean trading companies or diplomatic missions. But they're actually Kim Jong-un's personal funds. What's the total amount? Just what I managed exceeds $300 million. But if you add all the accounts managed by North Korean embassies worldwide, it's probably tens of billions of dollars. The investigators looked shocked. Where did this money come from? Illegal trade, drug trafficking, weapons exports, cyber hacking. Money earned through every illegal method imaginable. I told them everything honestly. I'd already crossed a river I couldn't return from. No reason to hide anything. But the investigation was exhausting. 8 hours a day, sometimes 10 hours straight. I'd gained freedom but lost my family. Every day brought only tears. Once, I asked an investigator, "Can I learn news about my family?" "I'm sorry, but that's difficult right now. We have no way to confirm how North Korean authorities handled your family." Hearing that, I collapsed. Was the choice I made right? After about a month, the investigation was nearly finished. Thanks to you, we'll be able to block a significant portion of North Korea's illegal funds. But I didn't want their gratitude. I just wanted my family safe. "Ms. Park, what will you do now? Will you settle in the United States?" I answered without hesitation. "I want to go to South Korea." Mid-September 2025, my move to South Korea was finalized. Negotiations between the U.S. and South Korean governments concluded. My identity protection measures were complete. From now on, I'd use the pseudonym, Park Eun-hye. My real name couldn't be disclosed for security. The day before departure, a South Korean National Intelligence Service officer explained, "When you arrive in South Korea, you'll receive special protection programs. Regular North Korean defectors get 3 months of education at a settlement support facility called Hanawon. But you need special management for security. And the information you brought will create major waves in the international community." Friday, September 21st, I boarded a special aircraft at a military airport outside Washington, D.C. This time, a U.S. military transport plane. 2 National Intelligence Service officers accompanied me. "Ms. Park, please travel comfortably. It'll take about 14 hours. The plane took off. Through the window, American land grew distant. I'd stayed only about a month. But it was the place that showed me my first taste of freedom. A long flight crossing the Pacific. I looked out the window, thinking many thoughts. "Sujin, Mommy's going to South Korea now. A place not far from where you live." On the plane, I ate a simple in-flight meal. Kimbap and cup noodles. Korean food. Taking a bite of kimbap, tears came. This is our country too. The flight continued through the night. I barely slept. What would South Korea look like? At dawn, the captain made an announcement. "We'll be landing at Incheon International Airport soon." My heart raced. Finally, South Korea. I looked out the window. Under the brightening sky, Seoul's lights appeared. Looking at Seoul's lights through the plane window, I thought this is what they called South Korea. No, the Republic of Korea. Far brighter and more dazzling than Pyongyang. Tall buildings, wide roads, countless lights. The plane landed. Incheon International Airport. When the plane door opened, Korean air rushed in. Warm, humid air. I walked down the stairs and stepped onto Korean soil. In that moment, tears poured from my eyes. This is our land. I finally made it here. I went through immigration procedures via a special airport passage. A Korean immigration officer greeted me. "Ms. Park Eun-hye, welcome to the Republic of Korea." "Thank you." My voice trembled. Outside the airport, I got into a waiting car. Through the window, Incheon's landscape passed by. Tall apartment buildings, wide highways, an endless stream of vehicles. This is South Korea. On the highway entering Seoul, I saw the Han River. A wide, clean river. Looking at the Han River, I cried again. The same Korean people's river. Why did we have to live such different lives? 6 months have passed since I came to South Korea. Now it's March 2026. I live in a small apartment near Seoul. When I first arrived, everything felt foreign. Even the way people spoke. In North Korea, we call people comrade. Here, they say, Mr. or Ms. It confused me at first, but now I'm used to it. What surprised me most was freedom. I can go outside whenever I want. Go wherever I want. Once, I went to a convenience store at 11 at night. The idea of a 24-hour convenience store amazed me. The first time I entered a convenience store and saw the shelves, I cried. Ramen, snacks, drinks, bread, all kinds of food overflowing. My first trip to a supermarket shocked me too. Seeing food overflow everywhere, I wept. Rice, meat, vegetables, fruit, all kinds of ingredients piled like mountains. People here don't know hunger. But adapting hasn't been easy. My way of speaking is different. So people immediately recognize I'm from North Korea. You must have had a hard time. Please live comfortably here. When a supermarket cashier said this to me, I cried again. This warmth, this is the Republic of Korea. Now I work at an organization supporting North Korean defectors, helping newly arrived defectors adjust to life in South Korea. My experience helps others that feels meaningful. Sometimes human rights groups ask me to speak, to testify about North Korean realities. I speak with my face covered, using a pseudonym, managing slush funds at the Cuban embassy. The contradictions of Kim Jong-un's regime. Audiences are shocked. Even Pyongyang elites lived under such surveillance? I tell the truth, but every time I speak, my heart aches. I think of my daughter Sujin, left behind in Pyongyang. At the end of every speech, I always say this: I miss the family I left in the north. Audiences cry too. Sujin is 7 years old now, old enough to start elementary school. My daughter, growing up without her mother. According to news from the National Intelligence Service, she hasn't been sent to a political prison camp yet, because the information I provided caused such massive waves. North Korean authorities can't handle her carelessly. The international community is watching. I dream of the day reunification comes, when I can return to my homeland and see my daughter. I desperately hope for reunification. I hope we see it in our generation. Last week, I attended a separated families event. I watched families separated during the Korean War reunite after 70 years. I cried with them. Will we be able to meet like that too? Life in the Republic of Korea is free, but also lonely, because I have no family here. Still, I'm grateful, just to experience this freedom. Freedom gained at 33, having lost everything. But I believe revealing this truth to the world is my mission. Today, I walk the streets of Seoul. Breathing free air, I don't regret the path I chose. Someday North Korea will be free too. Someday Sujin will experience this freedom too. Until then, I'll fulfill my role here. The Republic of Korea, the land of hope I discovered. Here, I've started a new life.